Hey everyone, welcome. I am here with Julie Aragon from Aragon Lending, and she was nice enough to stop by because I wanted to have a conversation with her about all of the advice that we're all seeing online from some of these different financial gurus with Reddit and some of the influencers online basically talking about why you shouldn't buy a home right now, why it's a bad idea or a bad investment, and who better to address it from a financial standpoint than Julie, who has a lot of experience with this. And that's going to be the conversation and the topic today. And if we have time, then of course I'm going to ask her about the crystal ball prediction on interest rates and what's happening there. So,
Yes.
Julie, let's talk about all of this advice we're seeing online.
Yes, Oriana. So from the Reddit threads to the TikTok money influencers, I see it all the time. Why buy? And spend $5,000 a month. I'll just go rent for $3,000 and save the difference, right? That's what Dave Ramsey tells us, save the difference. But they don't really unpack the math and go over like the variables, and that's what I would love to unpack today, like a real life example of somebody who decides to rent. It's proven 95% of those people don't save the difference.
No, how can they? And by the way, while $3,000 a month to most of the country sounds like a reasonable amount of money for rent, you would think you'd be able to find something, nice for that amount of money. If we're talking about Southern California, I'm sorry, but really, what are you going to get for $2,500 or $3,000 a month in a nice location in rent?
Right. And that's this year. What about next year when your landlord raises the rent? Or in 5 years,
Which they will do
exactly
every year because of the rent control laws. So you've got some great actual stories of people that bought within the last few years and their experience.
Yes. So one of my favorite stories I tell clients right now in this market is Anna and Hoku. So they bought in October of 2023. So rates at that time were 7.25. So they weren't great. They were higher than they are now. And had they listened to their uncle who said, don't buy now, wait, rates need to come down, they would have missed an opportunity. So they said no. They put $185,000 down on an $855,000 house. And their payment was, if I'm not mistaken, $42.90 per month.
Was that principal and interest only?
That was principal and interest.
Okay.
So then 6 months later, we saw an opportunity to get them a 6.625 rate with zero fees. So we didn't just add it to the loan amount, it was no cost. So their payment dropped within 6 months. I think they had only made a couple payments. Their payment dropped $280.
That's big. It's a lot of money.
It is. Now the best part is 15 months later, so it was September of the following year, rates dropped again, and we were able to get them a 6.125, again with zero fees. So in the 2.5 years since they purchased the house, their payment has dropped over $600 a month.
That's huge.
And they have $140,000, as of the last refi, they had $140,000 of equity on top of their initial down payment. So now we've got about $355,000 in equity. And let's just play make believe and say they would have rented for $3,000, okay, and invested.
This is why she's here, because she does all the math.
Yes, and invested the difference. Well, guess what? That difference went down over time, right? Because their payment has gone down.
But the rent would have gone up.
And the rent would have gone up. So that's what the financial.
Do you know what they were paying in rent before they bought?
About $3,000.
Okay, so.
Yeah, so it's very like a real life example, and.
But they had nothing to show for it.
Exactly.
With the rent.
No tax deduction, no mortgage interest.
No investment, no property that was accumulating equity over the course of the last few years.
So that's what the gurus don't tell you. They don't tell you your rent's going to go up, your landlord's going to sell, you're going to have to move. How expensive?
No, because they're living in their mom's ADU when they're making these.
Yes, with the ring light.
Giving us this advice. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. A little bit. So let's talk about something you said, that you reached out to them every time the rates dropped dropped enough where it made sense for them to do the refi.
Right.
Is that something that you have like a trigger set up where when that happens, you know, your people come up and you're reaching out to them and then it's not costing them anything to refinance?
Correct.
Because
Yeah.
that's huge, and I will tell you, not every mortgage broker does that. So that's
Yeah.
something that, you know, kudos to you, because
Yeah.
that makes it even more worthwhile
Right.
to get into a property, because the reality is what you cannot control right now, or you know, really ever, is that properties are continuing to go up in value. So the rates are going to be fluctuating, and so when you have somebody like Julie who can, you know, jump on it as soon as they come down enough and save you hundreds of dollars a month, that's huge. That's kind of the financial partners you want in your corner, I think.
Yeah. And when rates hit almost 8%, you know, and those clients, we made a promise, like as they come down,
Yeah.
we're going to reach out, and we always stay ready. And I can never promise in 6 months we're going to refi, because we don't know. But if that opportunity presents itself, we're going to move, and we're going to move fast, because you saw in February, rates had dropped. A week later, what happened? And that opportunity was gone.
Right.
So we got to be
Right.
ready.
So this leads me to my next question.
Don't ask.
Bleep. Do you have any feeling or idea of what the hell is happening with the rates?
Yeah. You know,
I know. I didn't tell her I was going to put her on the spot.
I really, I can't tell you. I can tell you when elections are happening, we tend to see housing.
This is true.
But I can tell you, recessions usually tend to be good for housing, and it's a hedge against inflation, which if you own a property, I mean, that's good for home ownership.
Yeah.
And the other thing to touch on is like all the ways home ownership pays you, right? So we've got Anna and Hoku, they have a portion of that $42.90 or now $600 less. A portion is going to principal, reducing their balance. We've got the home equity. We've got the property tax deduction. We've got the mortgage interest deduction. They can sell the property, and if they are married, have $500,000 of gains tax free. You don't get that in your S&P fund that you're investing the difference.
No, and the thing that I think people forget is that when you own property, it's not just it's not just an investment in part of your portfolio, but it's your safety net. So as you accumulate equity in your home, if things happen in life where you need money for, God forbid, a medical issue or some disaster or catastrophe or something that comes up, you have that equity in your home that if you had to, God forbid, tap into, it's there.
Yeah.
When you're renting, you don't have that safety net. You don't have that investment. And let's also touch on the fact that your investments, they're telling you to invest money in the stock market. A lot of those funds, you cannot just pull that money out without having major tax implications or penalties. So, there are benefits to owning a home that you don't have with investing in the stock market.
Yeah. You can't live in an Apple stock.
No, you cannot. You cannot live in an Apple stock. No. And I think historically, over time, property goes up exponentially faster than, because the stock market, I think, is taking dips and going up and down much more in a much more volatile way, especially right now, than real estate.
Yeah.
Real estate might soften and dip down, but it's at a much more gradual rate and pace. And I think therein lies also some security in that.
Yeah.
So.
And then leverage, right? You can buy $1 million duplex or $1 million single family with 5% down. You're earning 5% on that whole million.
Exactly.
But you didn't put, when you buy a stock, you got to buy the whole thing. You're not.
That's a great point. There you have it.
There you go.
Well, thank you for coming by and thanks for having this conversation. And if you guys want to talk about this more and, have more questions, comment down below or reach out. We'd love to talk to you. Bye for now.